Welcome back to Goodnight, Lighthouse. I'm Miss Dorothy, and I'm here to read you another story. And I was thinking, because it's that time of year, that we should read another Groundhog book. And I found one. This book is called Mr. Groundhog Wants a Day Off. Mr. Groundhog wants the day off. This is a story about a groundhog who just isn't too happy with his job on Groundhog Day. He's tired of people getting mad at him when he sees his shadow, so he's decided to take the day off. But somebody's got to do the job. I wonder what will happen. Who will he find to help him? Or will he decide to do it himself? Those are big questions, and we need to get into this book and find out what happens when Mr. Groundhog wants the day off. Are you ready to get into this book and read another Groundhog Day story with Miss Dorothy? Good. I need you to sit up and listen up, because here we go. Mr. Groundhog Wants the Day Off. Written by Pat Stemper Vojta. Illustrated by Olga Levitsky. I will not do Groundhog Day anymore, said Mr. Groundhog. I'm tired of everyone getting mad at me. They see my shadow and blame me for 6 more weeks of winter. I quit. Oh no, Groundhog doesn't want to do his job anymore. Mr. Groundhog stood next to the hole in the ground where he lived in the park. Everyone would wait there to see him on Groundhog Day. He jogged around the park to help him think. He's trying to come up with a good idea because he's tired of people getting mad at him when he sees his shadow. He stopped fast when he saw he was nose to nose with Mrs. Rabbit. Oh, hello, Mrs. Rabbit, said Mr. Groundhog. Mrs. Rabbit smiled. Will you do Groundhog Day for me this year? Asked Mr. Groundhog. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm much too busy getting ready for Easter. I have eggs to color, and I must practice the bunny hop to lead the parade. But I have something for you, said Mrs. Rabbit. Mrs. Rabbit lifted the lid of a trunk. She pulled out a vest. This was my grandfather's special occasion vest. You would look very nice wearing this on Groundhog Day. Thank you, said Mr. Groundhog. He slipped the vest on and continued on his walk. Then he met Mr. Turtle. Hi, Mr. Turtle. Would you mind doing Groundhog Day for me? Asked Mr. Groundhog. All you have to do is come out and greet the crowd of people. I would, but I can't fit into that small opening of your home, says the turtle. My shell would get stuck. But I have something for you, says the turtle. Mr. Groundhog followed Mr. Turtle to a cluster of bushes. Mr. Turtle reached in and lifted out a hat. This is my holiday hat. I want you to wear it on Groundhog Day, said Mr. Turtle, who gave him his favorite hat. Thank you, Mr. Groundhog said as he put on the hat. Next he saw Mrs. Squirrel. Mrs. Squirrel, will you do Groundhog Day for me? I'm really sorry, but I would be afraid to go down into that dark hole to get to your home. But I have something for you, said Mrs. Squirrel nicely from the tree. She reached up and broke some branches off a tree. You can use one of these for a cane. It will look nice with your vest and hat. Thank you, said Mr. Groundhog as he hooked the branch around his arm. He does look so nice. Look, with that vest and that hat and that cane. He looks very dapper. As Mr. Groundhog walked back home, he met Mrs. Raccoon. Mr. Groundhog, you look very handsome. I have something for you, said Mrs. Raccoon. She took a piece of ribbon off her head and tied it around Mr. Groundhog's neck. Look, she made him a necktie. Thank you, said Mr. Groundhog. The next morning, sunlight woke the sleeping groundhog. Mr. Groundhog got up and hurried into his outfit. With all the courage, he reached up and somersaulted out of the hole. He saw his shadow, somersaulted along with him. Then Mr. Groundhog tipped his hat to the crowd. His shadow tipped its hat too. He did see his shadow, but his shadow looks as good as he does. The band began to play. Mr. Groundhog reached out his arms and began to dance. His shadow danced too. Mr. Turtle looked at the ground and saw that he had a shadow. He began to dance. His shadow danced too. Mrs. Squirrel joined in. Soon everyone was dancing. "I never knew how much fun a shadow could be," said Mrs. Squirrel. "I'm looking forward to next Groundhog Day." Nobody's mad about the shadows now. Mr. Groundhog was happy. He smiled at his shadow and said, "Thank you, my friend. I'll see you again the next sunny day." And he went back into his hole. And all the friends were dancing with their shadows. Oh, good. Groundhog did his job. He decided that everybody got him so dressed up nice that he was going to jump out of that hole and do what he had to do. And he saw his shadow, but nobody got mad at him because he started to play with his shadow and dance with his shadow, and then everybody else did too. So that made having a shadow fun. This was a good book. I'm glad it worked out really well for Mr. Groundhog, that he did his job and that he was happy about it. Groundhog Day can be so much fun. I love watching and waiting to see if the groundhog sees his shadow. You can do that too. You can ask Mom and Dad to show you because they'll show it on TV whether or not he finds his shadow, and he's such a cute little groundhog. This has been a fun book. I love getting ready for Groundhog Day, and I love getting ready with you. But in order for Groundhog Day to get here, you need to go to sleep. We need to get into that bed, get covered up, cuddled up, tucked in, give Mom and Dad lots of hugs and kisses. And tomorrow, when you're running around the house like a groundhog, remember to do one thing that Groundhog learned to do. Obey, and obey right away. And then come back and see Miss Dorothy. I'm going to be sitting right here, ready to read another book to you. Bye! Thanks for reading with Miss Dorothy. I hope you enjoyed this book, and I hope you'll come back soon to read another. What's your favorite book? Drop Miss Dorothy a note and let me know. I'll go find it, and I'll read it to you. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share. I'll see you soon.